Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is cut out all the unwanted stuff. So, I know in my last video I said this thing was heading off to the sandblaster guy. That was the plan. But after talking to the sandblaster guy, and he telling me how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost, which I think I probably should share, it's $2,300 to sandblast this chassis on the rotisserie. It's cheaper if you have it on a rotisserie for him. And then if you want a epoxy primered, it's another $1,100. So, and my first question was, okay, well, can you just sandblast the stuff that I need sandblasted, right? Because I'm not going to use 60% of the body, right? I'm going to use the floors. Well, I thought I was. We'll get into that a little later. But the rear quarters I'm not going to use. The roof I'm not going to use. All the stuff inside. The trunk area. The door jambs. All that junk. Like, none of that's going to be useful for the fastback, right? So, which is fine. You know, that's not what my reasoning was. I just didn't want to waste his time sandblasting stuff that I'm just going to throw in the dumpster anyway, right? All this junk. It's a lot of little nooks and crannies to sandblast for no reason. So, so he said, yeah, no problem. Just mark the parts that you want sandblasted or don't want sandblasted. So I started doing that, and after about, I don't know, 10 minutes of trying to figure out what to mark and what not to mark, I realized, well, this doesn't make any sense at all. I'm going to come back with a car that you can hardly sandblast anything because all the stuff that doesn't need to be sandblasted is in the way. So I changed my plan. So what I'm going to do instead is modify the chassis first, put all the new panels on it, convert it to a fastback, yada yada yada, and then take it to the sandblaster to sandblast, you know, that kind of stuff, to make it ready for paint. And one of the reasons I don't want them to epoxy coat it is because then I won't know what was blasted good, right? Like that rusty stuff inside there, I don't know if they blasted that and then they epoxy coat it over the rust. Like, not that I don't trust them, but I don't trust them. So, so my first order of business was to kind of clean the chassis up, to go around and blow all the cobwebs out of it, take the insulation off, make sure that I got every little nuts, bolt, screws, clips off of it, all the mouse turds and tree shit everywhere. And then the next order was to kind of start stripping the tar off the bottom of it, undercoating stuff, and then get to these floors. So it looks like after doing that, I got a lot of the undercoating off, which a wire brush works, but it's kind of crap because it just gets hot and then melts and then reactivates and smears itself everywhere. So I just used a putty knife and it kind of scrapes off because it's cold enough. It just kind of flakes off on the floor. As you can see, ends up looking like that. I've already probably filled a 20-pound bucket of it, but some of the little spots are hard to get with a putty knife, but yeah, that's what it does if you just try to use a wire wheel. So anyway, I got a lot of this cleared off. I was thinking about putting a whole new one-piece floor pan in, which I may still do, because this part is fine. Like, this is all really nice on the bottom side, which confused me a bit on why they put floors in it. It appears that this thing sat with water under the carpet or under the back seat or whatever, and it rusted from the inside out because the outside looks beautiful. So I'm going to still have to strip this and see what it looks like under there. It looks solid enough, but as you recall from an earlier episode, this passenger rear seat floor pan was bodged in, and it was really bodged in. I broke most of the welds with this. Just bonked it with a hammer and the welds just popped. So I say most of them, like 85% of them were not really attached. It was pretty much in there with seam sealer. So anyway, that's out. They had, I don't know, 1 inch or 4 of overlap. You can see how much overlap they had it. And it looks like this white paint on the inside that's all rusty, that appears to be feather fill. It's very thick, like a high build primer, which I was thinking it was like house paint or something because the rust's coming through it, but it's thicker than house paint. So don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, obviously it was brushed on because it's oozing out of here. So this is my new plan. I still haven't decided if I want to put new floors in it or not. They're relatively inexpensive, but they only go back to there. It doesn't cover by the wheel well area where that's all fucked up. But that's pretty easy patch panel. And I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to have to modify to get the different transmission in there. So it may not be worth getting a one-piece floor pan and just modifying the hell out of it anyway. But sometimes it's nice to work with clean stuff. But yeah, I couldn't do any video while I'm doing this because it's messy. There's a zillion tools. I got center punch to spot for the drilling the spot plug welds out or the spot welds out, and then I got this tool here with the countersink in it, and then I got this tool here that's got a spot weld remover and air chisel and wire brush and grinder. Like, it's just fucking tools everywhere. It's a big fucking mess. But you need all of them. So, and you need lots of light. So anyway, we're making progress. It's just, I probably have, I don't know, maybe 10 hours of actual time into blowing debris out of it with compressed air. And this seat pan was original. That had real welds. All those plug welds, yeah, those were legit, serious, weren't gonna fall off welds. There was a lot of debris inside there, tree shit, and found a dime, penny, I don't know. Anyway, that's where we're at. Okay, so it's a lovely new day here. I got this driver's side seat pan off. Wasn't on too well, so just wanted to take a bit of a close-up of these wet welds. Not sure what that one goes to. Just practicing, I guess. It's just terrible. I don't know. Down the welder. I mean, I'm not the best welder in the world, but I'd be embarrassed by this. All of it. Anyway, this is what you have to do though. When you buy an old car, you expect this. I mean, I do. My Bronco was, the advertisement said no rust, and yeah, there was rust. And it was from like China Lake, which is in the middle of the Mojave Desert, probably the driest place on the planet, and there was still rust in it because Broncos didn't come with like carpets. They came with vinyl flooring, like a rubber mat kind of thing, and the moisture would just get trapped under there and just sit for decades until somebody decided to lift it up and went, oh, look at that, there's a hole in the floor. So I think the same thing happened here. This probably had a window seal leak or something and just filled up, sat. Anyway, we'll get this all ground out of there. I'm not sure I'm gonna reuse this pan or not. It looks fairly new and very minimal rust. It's hard to tell through all this house paint or whatever the hell it is, but yeah, grinding those welds out should be fun. Yikes. Okay, so this is where we're at. Got both seat pans out and that rear passenger floor pan out, and the driver's side replacement panel. It was not put in very good. Still hard to get out though. So this is what we got, this big blob of weld here. Still need to grind that off, and they put 1,000 holes in there to screw it together. But as you can see, there was, no weld through primer was used, so it was just gonna rust. So I think I'm just gonna order two new complete pans. I think the reason that they replaced it was, you can see here, it's all pitted. Looks like garbage sat under the carpet for many years. So I'm just gonna order some new pans. I'll get all the rest of this stuff cleaned up, kind of like that. So it's ready for the new pans. And then I'm gonna, all this stuff's got to go away. So I'm gonna start drilling rivets. Getting busy getting rid of all this junk that doesn't need to be here. Probably gonna brace some stuff. I don't want this thing to move because it's already missing that structure. Not that was really doing much, I don't think, because it wasn't really attached. None of this was attached anyway, but yeah, and then I think, I don't know, I want to get all this cleaned up. Sandblasted. Something, right? Okay, so my next plan of attack is to try and science out how I'm gonna remove the shit I don't need the easiest way, right? Without the body turning into a big noodle. So I've gone through and marked everything that I want to keep with a green check and a yellow X, because that's the color I had laying around. So this whole roof's got to go away. Keeping those frame rails. I have new A-pillars, but I just as soon leave these ones until I decide if I need them or not. So maybe just remove the roof here. I know there's some spot welds under there that I got to get out of. And then I have new tubs, which I'd like to use because these ones are shitty. Well, I mean, they're in good shape rust-wise, but I'm going to have to widen them anyway, so I'm going to have to just go through and cut a billion spot welds out of there anyway. And the quarters are garbage, right? Because I got new quarters for the fastback. So I'm trying to science out the easiest way here to facilitate this. All this stuff has to go, all this stuff has to go, all this stuff has to go. So it seems like, yeah, and these are different for the fastback because it has this hole in here for the rear window to roll up, and the fastbacks don't have that. I mean, theoretically I could weld that up, but I have new those guys. So cutting all these spot welds out, which is a tedious, treacherous path, and all these ones out, which is a tedious and treacherous path. I'm thinking I'm going to take the easy way, which may be the right way, I don't know, and just take a body saw or die grinder and just fucking remove all this shit. Just basically just saw all this stuff out of there, right? All these speaker supports, that's been modified nicely. That's how you do that, until you get 6x9s in there. So yeah, I may do that. And then I'll just put the new shit in, and then it'll be stiff enough for the body rotisserie. But I got to get everything level first, I think. I have to decide how I'm gonna. I think just sawing it all off is probably the easiest thing to do, and then it'll be easy to work on because there won't be anything in my way. So I'm gonna have to remove some of those spot welds in there. Yeah, those ones. Go to the other side. I think I'm going to be forced to remove some spot welds, no matter what you do. So, this part of the chassis I'm keeping, but this part of the wheel I'm not. So these here I'm going to have to get all those out. But the rest of the shit, yeah. And this stuff I'll keep. I got a new taillight panel, but that's for a different reason. And the frame rails are going to have to disappear, but that's not a problem. That can happen later. I want to keep the structure right now because it's being held up by that. So I think my next plan is to make a cut line. Like, just take my marker and mark where I'm going to cut everything. I'll go make sure I have replacement pieces, but I'm pretty sure I didn't buy a complete fastback conversion kit. I bought kind of piecemeal. I got all the side instead of like the entire side already welded together. I got it in pieces, and then I deleted some of the stuff, like the giblety thing that goes in here. I didn't get that. The other things I didn't get, but I have all this stuff. Those are in really nice condition, but probably should take those off and get it blasted underneath or sanded in beneath, and then weld the new one back on. And I can align everything like I like. And anyway, so now is the time to do it. Once it's all together, it's going to be hard to do any of this stuff. So might as well take time to do it right now. Okay, back from lunch. So this is what I did. Put some jack stands under here. Brand new, revised, not dangerous anymore. Hopefully. Way less than 6 tons on that, so I think we're okay. So I supported it under the frame rail in the front, the frame rail in the back, kind of where the shackle is. But I still have it on the mount for the rotisserie on the front and the rear. So it should be fully supported. I'm also going to make some measurements between here and here, just to make sure I don't get into a bad spot. So I'll get my marker out and put some lines here and there, horizontal. I'm going to get this thing leveled up too. Right now it's probably pretty close, but I may put some shims under the jack stands just so it's level in every direction. And then I can double check that and make sure nothing moved, right? So, and then I'm going to start cutting. Just removing the roof, removing the all this structure in here, the floor plan, well, what's left of the floor plan, this part of the floor pan and the trunk pan, all that stuff's gonna stay. Firewall is gonna stay. For now, all this junk will stay just to keep it structural until I get all the fastback stuff on, and then of course we'll start hacking other stuff in. And then when I put the floor in, the subframes will be in there prior to the floor. I think this is going to just extend straight back. So there'll be a little bump in the, like if this stays level, there's going to be a bump in the floor in the back, but there's not going to be backseat anyway. So this is going to be fuel tank here, and here will be fuel tanks. So 15-gallon gasoline tank on this side, 15-gallon E85 tank on that side. Well, fuel cell, not fuel tank. And then this will have a level load floor all the way back, right? So no fold down seat, none of that rattly heavy stuff. So I know it's rattly and heavy because I had one. Mostly rattly. But this car needs to be light, so I don't need to haul people in the back seat of this thing. So rear seat delete is, well, it's not really deleting if it didn't exist. So yeah, no rear seat. So to get started, I zipped across the top of the roof. That was pretty easy. It's just not much structure in there to worry about. And then onto the B-pillars. And that was pretty much it. This is kind of heavy, so I used my lift to kind of get it into a better position. And then the inner structure of the kind of the sill areas, and sawn through all the parcel shelf stuff and through the wheel housings. Had to get in the trunk to finish those off. So yeah, there's a lot of cross bracing inside there, so you have to a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then I picked it up with my lift. So apparently I don't like asking for help. So I strapped them individually, side to side. And then I sawed away the speaker grill. And now I can manhandle these easily. That guy's light. And just fender. Whoop. Get that out, throw it in the pile. Yeah, this is gonna look good in a couple minutes. Okay, so not a bad day's of work, if I may say so. Now I can see what I got. I can't flip it over anymore because flexible, but I can see what I got. I can finish floor work and get the frame rails in, not those shit things there, but real frame rails. I'm gonna have to cut this pan out too. I'm just gonna order another one, so it'll be symmetrical repair left and right. Get rid of these guys. There won't be a back seat anymore. And then I can start sciencing out all the other stuff. Where the motor's gonna go, fuel tank mounting, diffuser, new taillight panel, and I have to drill all these out. Put the new. This is all looking really, really solid. It's a shame I cut this perfectly good car up, but it was a 6-cylinder coupe, so it was worth nothing. So there you have it. Really, I bet it's lighter now. I'll bet it's half. Okay, we're back at it. I think it's January. Yeah, no, it's December 31st, so New Year's Eve. Yay. This is what I do for fun, so it's all good. So I kind of scienced out some stuff. I got a table here. That's nice. Look at that. Cut cardboard on it. I got a little bit of a plan. And this is this mock-up of where the fuel cell is going to go. Well, one of the fuel cells. I'm not a big fan of changing your weight distribution when you go from a full tank to an empty tank. So I did something similar in the Sonda. It has the fuel cell like kind of in this area, kind of standing up because it's a small car. But in this case, they will not be made out of Daytona jack stand cardboard, but that's what I had laying around because I just bought some of those. And this is the layout for the new wheel house. So call them mini tubs if you want, but I'm just putting them where Ford should have put them. They made a chassis for a 6-cylinder car, and I'm making it for a 10-cylinder car. So anyways, I digress. So this is where the fuel cell is going to go, and then there's another one on the other side. So this is the one for premium 91 octane, best you can get here, and then the one on the passenger side will get filled less often, presumably, and that'll be for E85, and they'll have separate fuel systems. It looks like I have tons of room back here for pumps and plumbing in between here. There is the outlet and inlet for the fuel cell, which is a ATL 15-gallon saver cell. So the fuel filler neck and outlets come here. And then that will come over here and out. So the filler will be under where the scoop is, essentially. The scoop will still be a scoop, but it'll flop open and you can fill the gas in there and it'll close back up. It really annoys me that people put these filler necks on this area here. Like, you have a nice swoopy fastback shape and then they put a big fucking ugly goddamn chrome piece of shit on there. Anyway, doesn't upset me at all, but it upsets me. So, not doing that. So anyway, this is where I'm at. I think I have a little bit of a plan for how I'm gonna make this all happen. I've decided, this is really light right now, so move it real easy. So I'm decided I'm gonna get a full floor for it. I scienced out where all these spot welds need to get drilled out. So unfortunately, if you remove this panel, then there is nothing connecting the front of the car to the rear of the car. Like, there's nothing, right? Well, I guess this tiny little piece of area here is still connecting it, but so my plan is to remove all this junk, throw all these rivets out of here, get this all cleaned up, put the outer wheel well in, and that'll tie the back of the car to the front of the car with a nice arch shape. And then I can put the inner, I can cut this out and put the inner wheel well and then the spacer in between them. I'll have to fit the fenders and all that stuff before I can do that, but once that's done, then I will brace the car, probably weld some brackets from somewhere up here to this thing, or this is kind of floppy over here, maybe down in here, just to cross triangulate this thing so it can't go anywhere. I mean, it's supported by jack stands down there and by the rotisserie, so it really can't go very far. But when I take this entire structure out of here, there's a lot of wiggle room. So I think I formulated a semi-cohesive plan, which is, on cardboard, so it's real. And I will get that one-piece floor ordered, which I think is going to be nice, right? Because the one-piece floor comes along here. I'll have to do a little trimming, right? Because this whole piece is one-piece floor. This will go away, and then the only thing holding it in the front is a few spot welds in here, and then this transmission cross member, which I may or may not be able to fit depending on where that transmission lives. So, and then I got plenty of, I think, good metal up here to tie into. It's not perfect, but that's going to be hidden by a carpet anyway. Not that hiding stuff is my genre, but anyway, this is the plan. I've also kind of scienced out how I'm going to make this frame rail, because obviously the frame rail is this area here, so I can't just cut that out and expect the car to not fall in half. So I'm going to need to move the frame rail in. And looking at this trunk pan, it's different from side to side. Right? This one's straight and like 18 inches from the center line. And that one's on an angle. I don't know if you can see it, but it's on at a pretty decent angle there. 30 degrees, 20 degrees, I don't know. Something. And that one's closer to the center of the car. So I may replicate that on this side. So I'll use this, even though it says inner frame rail, I'll use this piece here as the outer frame rail. And then I'll make a piece of metal that goes like that and comes down, so it's symmetrical with that side. So then I have a symmetric car, and I'll have a wide enough frame rail, and then on one side I will mimic that angled piece and put it over here, and on that side I'll mimic this straight piece and put it over there. So I got a little bit of fab work to do, but that's no big deal. Then I'll have a nice symmetric trunk, and then I don't know if anybody noticed, but when this thing sits in here, that's nice and flat. So this whole area here, all the way to back here, will be a flat floor. It'll have some access panels and stuff in here to access giblets and stuff that you may need to work on. Tons of room in here for the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. Like this area here on both sides, and then that kind of T-shaped area, that is going to be where all my HVAC stuff goes, moving it more towards the center mass of the car instead of under here, because I'm going to utilize a lot of this space. This firewall area is going to have to get the fuck out the way, because there's going to be a V10 smashed underneath there. So anyway, I got big plans, but time is on my side, I think. It's not raining today, so that's nice. Yeah, that's about it. I think now that I have a formulated plan, I'll go order that one-piece floor, which is a little bit more expensive. It's like $500 instead of $250, and then you got to pay truck shipping. So all in all, it's like 2.5 times the price, I guess. But that's fine. I'm not gonna skimp on the foundation. Okay, so I've been at this most of the day, and I got all this. This is actually brazed together here. It's all brazing material to fill that gap up. But there was, I don't know, a 1/2 inch thick of seam sealer inside here. So I still need to dress this stuff up with a flap disc just to make it nice and smooth, but that's looking pretty good. This is looking terrible, but I'm going to cut that out along that line there, so that'll be gone. I'm not sure if we can see inside there. Looks pretty good. No rust, just cobwebs and tree shit, which is nice. So I think I'm not going to replace these guys. They look pretty tidy. I did find some rust though, compared to, yeah, we got some holidays, but that's a pretty easy, like, this is normal. That's like a drain here. That first thing that happens gets clogged up, so I'll probably make a little patch panel for this. I spent a lot of time trying to get this off in one piece, but probably probably not a good time spent. But anyway, I'm sciencing out stuff. I still need to take this panel off of here. I got to drill out from the opposite side. I got to drill out all these spot welds, and then all of this stuff will go away, and then I'll just be left with the taillight panel. I have a new taillight panel, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Maybe I will, but this one looks pretty good and doesn't need any body work. It's got a couple of little sway back things here, but with what I have in mind, that's not going to matter. So yeah, this is it's coming along. I got to do the other side. I guess I'll fight that tomorrow. Should be pretty, now that I know what I'm doing, and maybe not try to save this on the other side. I don't know. The problem with this is you can't drill the rivets out because it's floppy, so you can't really do any drilling. So you have to like take this wheel and just grind until the rivet's gone. So basically, or not the rivet, but basically you have a piece of sheet metal that looks like that, and you have another piece of sheet metal, and the spot weld's like here. Right. And there's a tiny little gap in between, just because perfection isn't a thing. So if you take your grinding wheel and you grind, this part stays fairly cool because this is welded across here, and this stuff doesn't. So you can see this stuff getting red hot, or at least purple, and you can tell if you just go across it with the grinding wheel. You can tell where the and you don't actually get through. Like you can get this till it's just paper thin, and then hit it with a putty knife or whatever, and it falls right apart. So it's a little bit more time consuming than drilling them out with this guy. But if you don't have anything to push against, it's really hard to drill the rivets out. So that's how I did all those. Maybe I'll do the other side that way, I don't know. I did order a floor. Not sure when it's going to get here, but I'm not in a big hurry anyway. But I think I'm going to kind of stick to my original plan. Well, not my original plan. My plan this morning, which is put the outer fender walls on, and then have those secure the body, brace it up a little bit more, and then put the interior pans on. I'm going to widen it 3.5 inches to the inside per side. So I'll have to make some widening panels on there, and then unfortunately that's getting into the frame rail most of the way. So I got a plan devised for that. We'll get into that a little later, but I think it's gonna work out fine. So anyway, that's where we're at. Okay, happy morning, happy new year. So I finished all this junk up yesterday, all the way to here. It was fun. And then this morning I tackled all this. It used to look like all that garbage there on the passenger side. This country anyway. So I'm going to reuse this tail panel. So I tried to be as nice as possible to it. Unfortunately, I backed myself into a corner here. And yeah, I left my valve grinder in here. So got to be skinny to get through here. Luckily, I haven't quite outgrown that. As you can see, this is the great build quality. I mean, it's 50 years old, so not that terrible. But yeah, they don't paint any of this crap. They just, because the spot welds need something to conduct. So yeah, every panel that is sandwiched like that is just rusty in there. It's just the oxidation forms exudation layer, and then it doesn't rust. So, sort of. Anyway, I think this is gonna be fine. I'll just clean that up, and now I think I can get the fender on. Kind of make it look like a fastback. I was thinking a little bit more about how to structuralize this body when I put the floor in, which isn't a problem yet because I probably won't show up for a week or two. But and then of course I'll have to drive down to Safeway to pick it up because, you know, windy roads, whatnot. Not venting or nothing here. But I am gonna put a 10-point cage in this, which is going to be hidden. Well, hidden-ish. So it's probably going to attach in this area somewhere because this is obviously taken up by the fuel cell. So I will make this the structural point, and then all the giblets will come around through back over there and the main hoop and all that stuff. So once I get the body panels on here and figure out what the main hoop's going to look like and the down bars and all that shit, I think that kind of makes more sense. That's going to be way more structural. I'll have to hang the doors and, you know, do all that stuff to facilitate that, because once that roll cage is in, it is not moving. Like, if you got door gaps that you can't fix, you're fucked. It's saw the roll cage out. So I'm gonna have to be very careful, but measure twice, cut once, weld 3 times. So that's my plan today, but it's a new year, so that may change tomorrow or the next day or the next week. I think I made this thing quite a bit lighter, judging by all the sheite on the fluoro. Okay, so got all this ugliness, all the plug welds where I drilled them, got those all cleaned up. So we're ready to throw the fender on. Well, fender slash, yeah, back half side of the car. That thing. Okay, so a few hours later, that's probably 2 in the afternoon or something, so maybe 3 or 4 hours later. I made this side look kind of like that side, except for this side. There's no speed holes. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. So, yeah. Just going to do a little bit of dress up here, get rid of all this brazing material, kind of clean this up. Maybe vacuum some of the schmutz out of there. And yeah, let's start fitting some fenders and shit. Mostly fenders. Okay. Wow. It's not a fastback yet. Got some pretty big gaps here. Pretty sure we can science all this out though. It kind of fits. Looks like some damage back there from shipping. Beat that back into submission. But, and it's held up. And the broom fell on it. It's missing some stuff there, unless I want to make a T-top. Oh, tar gun. No. Not going there. Anyway, it's kind of like a fastback. Lots more pieces to the puzzle, but I can say it's a fastback now. Thanks for watching. If you like this content and want more, subscribe, like, and share.